The plea deal between Hunter Biden and federal prosecutors has always looked fishy. Now it's been exposed in court, and that makes it harder to ignore fundamental questions about the integrity of the 5-year investigation.
Normally these plea agreements are pretty open and shut, and they're done and rubber stamped in no time. Today was very different. A lot of drama unfolding.
Federal Judge Mary Ellen Noreika didn't reject the wrist-slap plea bargain outright, but she asked prosecutors and defense attorneys to clarify the terms of the deal on gun and tax charges. The fact that the deal collapsed under the most basic questions says it all.
The last thing you want is the judge to start questioning the credibility of the lawyers or your position in court.
The June 20th plea never really made sense, except as a way to disguise and bury the political embarrassment of Hunter's business shenanigans. The 2 misdemeanor tax charges and the deferred felony gun count could have been brought in the first few months of the investigation. But it was the diversion agreement on the gun count that Judge Noreika zeroed in on. An agreement that spared Hunter jail time and meant he wouldn't be charged if he met certain conditions.
Part of the obligation of the court is to make sure that the defendant and the government are very clear on what the agreement means, and they weren't.
The critical point came when the judge asked if the deal meant that Hunter could still be prosecuted on other charges, such as violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Prosecutor Leo Wise said he could. Defense attorney Chris Clark said that wasn't his understanding, and if the plea didn't give his client such immunity, then there's no deal.
It's like a wedding where both the bride and the groom objected, and everyone else is sitting there saying, wait, how did we get here, and where do we go from here?
The hearing featured multiple recesses in which the prosecution and defense tried to clarify the terms of a revised deal. In the end, Hunter pleaded not guilty to the tax charges, and the judge gave the lawyers 30 days to provide further briefings before she reaches a decision.
Do you think it was wrong for him to take that position,
No.
knowing that it was really because that company wanted access to you?
Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that?
Courtroom drama aside, the question hovering over the plea deal is whether Joe Biden was in on his son's sleazy influence peddling. And is the president the big guy, famously mentioned in an email to Hunter from one of his business partners?
In that email, there's no question that H stands for Hunter, big guy for his father, Joe Biden.
Most of the media has given the president a pass on his repeated claims that he knew nothing about his son's business dealings. And the White House continues to stonewall.
I've been asked this question a million times. The answer is not going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son.
No doubt the change in official line from saying that the president has never spoken to his son about his business dealings to saying that he was never in business with his son reflects White House recognition of the growing evidence that contradicts Mr. Biden's earlier statements.
Your son did make a lot of money. There are some reports $50,000 to $80,000 a month in a Ukrainian company while you were vice president. Also had dealings with a Chinese state government-run company while you were vice president. Was that wrong?
No, there's nothing asserted that he did anything that was illegal. Nothing.
Not saying illegal.
Voters may not care much about the shady dealings of a dissolute son, but they might if it turns out that Mr. Biden's Justice Department blocked IRS and FBI investigators from learning the truth. Already, House Republicans are threatening to impeach Attorney General Merrick Garland for his handling of the Hunter case, and the president could be next.
This is a decision that the entire Republican conference will have to make. I do think the facts are beginning to pile up.